What's up, y'all? You know what time it is. It's about to be that time.
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Can't do it as an 8-year-old. So, Luffy, let's go take back Wano. And we're back with One Piece, Chapter 1051. First things first, R.I.P. the Tama is Orochi's daughter theory. That was my brainchild. I was the most vocal person in the community about it. Congratulations. I played myself. Kurozumi, O-Tama. And why do I believe that? Because they both have purple hair. Video's over. Savage. I mean, that is a factor, and it is what kind of like sparked everything, but no, there is more to this.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
Now, whether or not Tama is a Kurozumi is still up in the air. Her parents could have been Kurozumi, so, you know, we can't really rule that one out completely. But at this point, maybe it makes more sense if Toko or Yamato, like I've been saying, for alternate candidates, can also be Kurozumi to wrap that plot up. Why do I want that plot to be wrapped up? Because I think it sends the wrong message if the Kozuki clan never addresses the fact that they massacred an entire people for one man's ill doing, and basically wrought their own demise in that by creating Orochi, so on and so forth. Now, aside from that, Big L, things seem to be shaping up for a massive W. I don't think it's ever looked better that Tama is going to join the crew. And we're going to talk exactly why that's very likely to happen in a chapter that seemingly confirms Yamato for the crew. I'm going to spend a lot of time talking about Tama, particularly because Oda spent a lot of time on Tama in this chapter, the flashback, etc. We'll get into, of course, the Yamato stuff, we'll get into the Momonosuke stuff, but I really expect a lot of the other people who do what I do to potentially gloss over this Tama and Nami stuff and really just hammer in on the Yamato and Momonosuke stuff. So, to bring you something different, we'll start with all of that, and then we'll get to everything else. All right, here we go. This is literally one of the best chapters of Wano, and this naturally happens when an arc is shaping up to end. Oda finally starts to reveal things, he just goes off. He saves things for the end, we're finally getting all of that, alright? This chapter in particular is very reminiscent of the Dressrosa finale chapter, where they bring out the light scrolls and Fujitora makes his address to the world about what happened on Dressrosa against the orders of Akainu. So here, Momonosuke is able to address, the people of Wano and instill some sort of hope. I think we're going to continue on this sort of sitting in the wind path for a little bit. So, sorry to Morge, another person who took a big fat L recently. No matter what, the raid can no longer fail. It doesn't matter if Vegapunk shows up, if Blackbeard shows up, anything like that. None of that will have anything to do with the raid, because the raid was specifically against Kaido and Onigashima. Onigashima is no more. Kaido, unless he actually gets back up, which is extremely unlikely, unless he's going up against the SSG. Extremely unlikely. The raid has succeeded. Now, given that this is a chapter that is essentially dedicated to Momonosuke, and spends, a good portion building up the idea of Yamato joining the crew, which is very likely, it may surprise you that my MVP for this chapter is actually Nami. In a blink and you'll miss moment, there are very subtle but monumental character development moments for Nami here. And we're basically working towards a full circle completion character arc for Nami over the past 10 years. Now let's talk about Nami for a second. Okay, now we all know this is a character that has been with us since the beginning. She was the adoptive daughter of Bellemere, and we have always seen Nami have a strong connection to kids throughout the series. None more than when she gets to Punk Hazard, meets all of those young kids, and vows to save them. She puts them in the care of Tashiki. She has her little heartfelt moment about talking about, having basically a reverence for female Marines, right? But throughout this entire arc, Nami has had her mothering mode on for Tama. She said she was too old to be an aunt, but here we finally get Tama's backstory, which is a check mark right there for joining the crew. And I've also been probably the most vocal person in the community that Tama's going to join, almost initially, from their introduction, like the very Act 1 of Wano, I've just been like, this girl's coming along. But now we've had her flashback. Okay, Orochi was not her biological parent. We see that Tama's parents were factory workers. They were a byproduct of what Orochi did to the country. Orochi is single-handedly responsible for the death of Tama's parents. As a young kid who seemingly did have her devil fruit at this point, unless Camacho was just her dog and has never needed a dango. That's a possibility as well. If we come to find out that Hitetsu, aka Kosuke Sukiyaki, fed her the devil fruit and gave it to her. Stole it from Orochi, maybe, who knows? Where else are you getting a devil fruit, a real devil fruit, on Wano? But nonetheless, speculation aside, she goes off, she starts weaving hats basically to survive, to generate some sort of an income to feed herself and Camacho. Classic Oda sad story. Now, right before this flashback begins, we get an explanation for her power. One, it lasts an entire lunar cycle. Two, after that month, the people who have eaten the dangos, the animals, or, in this case, the gifters as well, have a choice that they can make. They can continue to serve Tama, or they can go off, on their own. So everybody that had a problem with Tama taking away the freedom and the liberty of, the gifters and these animals and all of that, and making slaves, no. Eventually they get their freedom back and they get to choose. So Speed wants to stick with Tama, and Tama looks at Speed and says that they look at Speed sort of like a mother. Now, the key moment here is Nami's reaction. She seems taken aback. Nami has been protecting Tama this entire arc, has been with her this entire time. Nami is the one that has been actually mothering Tama. Now, after this flashback, right, and all of this flood of emotions come to Tama, right, she doesn't turn for solace from Speed. She immediately turns into Nami's bosom for solace. Instinctively. It's instinctual. She goes to Nami. And we get this amazing panel, my favorite moment from the chapter, Nami's smile. This smile, it's putting a smile on my face when I think about it. I think Nami is going to adopt Tama. Like literally. I think Tama's coming on the ship, and Nami is going to basically treat Tama as a daughter. And that would be one of the best character building moments, developments for Nami to begin with. She will essentially become Bellemere and take in a young girl that has no blood tie to her at all. For her character, I love this. I want this. Nami, adopt Tama. Let's go. Come on. Tama's coming along. And if Tama comes along, like I've always said, Oda will get to flex because he loves to draw animals. We've seen things like the island of Ruskaina, right? Imagine Tama on Ruskaina. feeding tangos to all of those animals, and then suddenly these gigantic, powerful animals are on her side. And even if she brings Kamachio, that's perfectly fine. Bumbuku. I don't think Speed's coming. But Kamachio is not too big to be on the Sunny either. All right, I think people underestimate how big the Sunny is. It is massive. Kamachio is an ant compared to the entire size of the Sunny. So there you have it. Tama for Nakama. Nami needs to adopt Tama. That's my new agenda. And if Tama doesn't actually join, then I fully believe that Nami will come back to Wano at the end of everything and become Tama's like make-believe mother. We could also get actually some really fun stuff, right? Because Nami has been training to be a ninja this entire arc, so she can train Tama in the ways of the kunoichi, but also teach her how to steal things. We could eventually get a moment where Tama is like picking up some of Nami's Nami-isms. There may be some sort of MacGuffin, this thing that they need in a later arc, and it's like, oh no, we didn't get it, and then Tama pulls it out of her pocket and says, oh, I got it. And then there's this payoff of Nami taking Tama in, training Tama, etc., teaching her things, and, it works in the benefit of the crew. Yamato tells the crew that they'll be joining them on the high seas. My favorite reaction was Jinbei's, when he was just like, yeah, that's cool and all, but I'm gonna need to hear it from him. I also like Frankie, how he's just like, he's ready to fight and all this, but then you have Sanji and Brook that are all just like, okay, come on, let's go. I actually would love it if Yamato joined. We'll see what Luffy has to say in the next chapter. I'm sure he'll say yeah. The main thing with Yamato is I need them to come into their own identity. I would hope that at some point they realize that they can drop the Oden act, the Oden identity. Maybe if Yamato sees Momonosuke and has a moment with him in his, now Oden form, right, as the Shogun, which may or may not stick, then Yamato may be able to realize, oh, I don't need to be Oden. Or, maybe that is something that will be a character arc for Yamato to be challenged by in a future arc. And then once they finally come to that realization, that's when we'll get the Yamato flashback, similar to how it took us some time to get Robin's flashback. We get the Momonosuke reveal. Goosey's. Finally see him. Looks like a perfect blend of Oden and Toki. Needs a haircut. Maybe he'll get one in the coming chapters, or maybe he'll just, rock the long hair. Who knows? Things aren't looking too good for Momo joining the crew, like I've been saying is, been almost guaranteed. Even in the last chapter, when Momonosuke said that he did not want to open the borders, I immediately and initially took that as he doesn't want to open the borders because he has some unfinished business. He needs to ride with the Straw Hats, handle something at Laugh-Tale, save the world from the world government, come back, and then assume his role as the Shogun. Now, a part of me still believes that that's a possibility. There are a lot of factions that could still end up in Wano and cause some trouble, leading the crew, Momonosuke, maybe even the entirety of Wano citizens to flee the island, go on to Zunisha, something. The pin will drop, essentially. Could Momonosuke remain the Shogun? Sure, the possibility is there. I think the story is better if Momonosuke joins and, goes on the adventure and then comes back to Wano after everything is completely safe. And even the narrator is kind of cluing us in a little bit here by saying the future great Shogun of Wano, in the future skies. Everything in Wano is not safe right now, but at one point in the future, when Luffy, topples the world government, that's when it will be safe. I think we need a quiet moment with Momonosuke, right? We had this gigantic public display with all of the scabbards on the snails and all of that. For some reason, it seems as though Kinemon is completely healed for plot convenience, and to give us the great line, fake it till you make it, Momo, right? And of course, Kinemon knows a lot about faking it till you make it. But those words, by themselves, basically inspire Momonosuke to give the speech that he gives, which is great. He fakes it until he makes it, right? They don't know that he's mentally an 8-year-old. The only things that disappointed me in this chapter were Kinemon seemingly, after being dragged around by Usopp, just getting up and being fine. I didn't mind the Kiku thing, and I thought it was really cute, the way Kiku was laying in Nekomamushi's arm. The Hiyori and Momonosuke moment. No flying kick, right? 0 out of 10 chapter. And no Chuji either. No. I wish the Hiyori and Momonosuke moment was like a full page. I think just having it consolidated into that tiny panel didn't do it enough justice. You know, that's one of the most emotionally resonant moments in the entire arc. And I think it's going to it'll land when we're in the anime because it'll be, you know, fully on the screen and they'll take the appropriate time with it. But I think it was a misstep by Oda to just consolidate it into that small panel. Something that, you know, the two of them have been waiting 20 years for. Well, you know, not Momo, but certainly Hiyori and us, what feels like 20 years. Either way, I think that there's a possibility that, you know, we go into the castle, we have a quiet moment with Momonosuke where he's able to have a conversation with Hiyori, Denjiro, his retainers, and all of that. And he basically says that he has unfinished business, that he does need to go with the Straw Hats, that he made this, you know, public stand so that it would instill this feeling of hope amongst the citizens, but that he'll leave the island in the care of Hiyori, Denjiro, and Kinemon. Now, for political reasons, maybe it's possible that Oda can't make Hiyori the shogun, which would be really interesting in all of that, but there are some countries that just won't have female leaders, so that's something that we may be dealing with. One Piece may not be able to be that progressive, even though I think it would be a great moment, but we still may get it. I don't know. Who knows? What do I expect in 1052 and beyond? Well, I don't know where Marco went. He was with Nami and Tama, and now he's just missing. So I wonder if he went to go find Izo. We need a confirmation that Ashura Doji is actually dead, and I'm really hoping that, you know, he doesn't just pop up into the background somewhere like Chrissy was joking about in the stream. Do not want that. Let's have some deaths here, Oda. Let's have something stick. Ashura Doji doesn't need to come back. He's not going to contribute anything. Kinemon and Suru need to meet, so I feel like that's, you know, inevitable and closing in. Robin needs to take a look at the poneglyph that's on Onigashima, unless she already has, and Oda off-screened it and we'll get a flashback. There's a possibility for that, right? I mean, Robin and Brooke were running around for quite some time. We could just get it in a flashback. We're also going to need Robin to actually get a look at the one that's in the castle. And we still need to know where the road poneglyph is. Now, can all of this happen before we deal with the world government ships, which are still outside, unless Zunisha jacked them? And I'm really hoping that they did not get jacked. That would just be anticlimactic. One really fun thing that was brought up in the stream by Yamil was, what if the Big Mom pirates find Big Mom after she has been, you know, ejected from the volcano, right? And Smoothie drains the magma and the lava out of her. That's a great way to bring Big Mom back into the story. Get her to Elbaf, etc., etc. I'm not opposed to that. This is the time for the Big Mom pirates to resurface. Now, if that means them getting onto Wano, finally, after being knocked from the waterfall twice, then so be it. The other option would be they're in a battle with the world government against the SSG and getting fodderized. Now, if they do make it to Wano, and now they're starting to look for their mother, hey, you know, that's potential imminent tragedy there as well if they come in and decide that they want to stop the festivities, right? And the remaining Straw Hats that can move have to have battles against some of Big Mom's kids. That would be fun. I need Usopp versus Flampe. Robin versus Montdor, maybe. Perospero, what happened to him? He needs to get up, unless he's dead. We need an infographic from Oda telling us, you know, who's alive, who's dead, you know, whatever. What's the count, right? You know, we got it at Marineford. Let's, you know, come on, Oda. But either way, we are weeks away from getting outside, seeing some big news, and I'm ready. And that's going to wrap things up, guys. Like, comment, subscribe if you're feeling the vibe. Shout out to our members. Okay, we got a new member, Container Productions. Shout out to Wesley Edelin for rejoining. Shout out to my guys, Ty and Fable, for their, you know, unyielding love during the stream. All right, hashtag table. All right, so happy that you guys found each other, and cemented in the logbooks forever. No, but really, I do appreciate you guys. Man, what a great stream. Anyway, that's gonna do it, guys. All right, look out this Monday, Geeked Week. We're gonna get some live action news, so be on the lookout for a stream for that. Live action videos. I have a new video series that I'm working on called Future Role. All right, where we're gonna dissect individual characters, see where they've been, and kind of predict where they're going. I think that that'll be something fun and just sort of like very individually character focused for the most part. And that's it. If you like the video, let me know. Stay tuned for, the rest of the stuff that's on the pipeline, all right? And if nothing else, 10:52 on Friday. All right? Later, everybody.
I've been swimming deep, deep. Savage.